You're very worried. So, because of the BO, and I'm just such a wonderful people person, I went on about all the plane crashes that happened in the last 24 hours around the world. Yeah, I got my own back a little bit. Not nice, I know, but the guy should have washed or used deodorant or something. And on another flight coming back from Cyprus, a guy in front of me had really hairy arms. I'm talking gorilla arms. They were really, really hairy. And he was only wearing a vest, which is not a good look. But I'm so happy he was in front of me and not next to me, because the last thing I wanted was this guy's hairy arms rubbing up against me. It'd be like having a cat on your lap. And of course, some of you may love perfume, especially if you just got it from duty free. But your perfume's making me gag. So is your Starbucks coffee and your smelly sandwich that they brought in. Just don't bring in smelly food. Don't bring in coffee. Don't bring in lots of perfume. I told you I was a grumpy so-and-so. Which gets me on to number 4. Number 4 on my etiquette list is just shh. Transport should be like a library. Just keep quiet. If the plane isn't crashing, you have nothing I want to hear about, so just shut it. Let's just get there, nice, peace and quiet, watch the films, and get off the other end. Number 5, I can't be alone on this one. Please don't recline too far. I'm not that tall, I'm only 6'2", but even this is too large for most airline seats. My space is limited and my knees still just about work, so please don't lean back and crush my knees. Not without checking that I'm not eating, drinking or working on my laptop anyway. Don't just lean back, just turn around and say, is it okay? Who's going to say no? Not many people. Well, maybe me. And number 6, finally, just don't. Please don't grab my headdress when you're walking down the aisle. It's not pleasant and it's very rude. And so he's whacking my shoulder as you waddle on by without apologising. Maybe, you never know, I could be doing the same to you later on, especially if you're asleep. Of course, with flying, if there's anything you want to add to that list, facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. What winds you up on an airplane? Maybe it's me moaning. You can put that, but is there anything you want to see added to the list of airplane etiquette for passengers? But anyway, passengers are not the only problem with flying. There's jet lag too, especially when we're flying back from Antigua. Have I mentioned I'm going to Antigua? So, for some, my pet hates are nothing compared to suffering with jet lag. But relief may be here as some scientists have developed a model that mimics special timekeeping cells in the body and offers a mathematical explanation for why travelling from west to east feels much worse. This is the science bit. Maybe. The eggheads have also got insights on how to recover from jet lag. Apparently, according to these brain boxes, there is a region in the brain where the internal clock keeps time. And there's no way I'm going to pronounce the name of this area in the brain, but just trust me, part of the brain controls your body clock. Approximately every 24 hours, 20,000 special cells that inhabit this area synchronise. And this tells the rest of the body whether it's day or not, night. The cells know which signals to send because obviously if it's bright, you stay awake, and if it's dark, it says go to sleep. Even that bit I could work out myself. Travelling across multiple time zones confuses these cells, and the whole body feels groggy because it's looking for the time and it can't find it. Michel Guinn, I think that's how you pronounce it, a physicist from the University of Maryland who worked on this model, said, "This is all because the body's internal clock has a natural period of slightly longer than 24 hours, which means that it has an easier time travelling west and lengthening the day than travelling east and shortening the day. This can be resolved by matching the internal clock of your destination's clock as soon as possible. And researchers have built a model, lots of equations and stuff and symbols I just do not understand, but I will give you a link in a second. And this model considers all the pacemaker cells, how sensitive the subject is to the light, the brightness of the light, multiple time zones, and people's own slightly off-kilter internal clocks. The hope is that the model will offer a simple way of explaining how a typical body might recover from jet lag with no intervention. The model confirmed that westward recovery is easier than eastward. However, it also explains that why flying across more time zones can sometimes be easier than travelling across fewer. For example, without help, it could take you around 8 days to recover from a westward trip crossing 9 time zones. If you cross 9 time zones going east, the recovery would take more than 13 days, according to this model. And it all comes back to whether you're an early riser or not. Apparently most people are a little bit owlish, so they're not an early riser and they have problems adjusting. and the report got all far too geeky and Big Bang Theory from here. So if you want to read the study, I've got a tiny URL here. It's tinyurl.com/HW7MU7W. That's all lowercase. tinyurl.com/HW7MU7W. And you can find out more about this model. But I guess the real answer is to take 3 weeks off work, go east for a 1 week's holiday, and use the 2 weeks when you come back to recover from your jet lag. If you've got your own pet jet lag recovery system, please do share it. Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. You can follow me on Twitter @holiday_hut. Still to come on the show, there's a Pokemon story, Pokemon Go. I'm jumping on the bandwagon just like everybody else, and I have a story about it as well. While I was away, the Post Office have been very busy, so I'm going to go through a few of the little surveys that they released over the last few weeks. There's less than 3 months to go until the US presidential election, and the Post Office Travel Money US City Cost Barometer of 10 key cities in the USA has revealed that Washington DC will be the cheapest option for a pre-election break. This was compiled along with Brand USA, which provided the local cost for tourist staples, and the Post Office survey found that the cost of a 3-night break in Washington DC was the lowest at £1,758 for 2 people. With the cheap hotel charges and free entry to its world-famous museums and galleries, Washington DC was £500 cheaper than Chicago, which was the most expensive city surveyed. Chicago came in at £2,223 and it's 29% more than Washington DC. Surprisingly for me, New York City came a close second to Washington, with a total cost of £1,767 for the 3-night break for 2, and it had the second cheapest prices for meals and drinks at £256. The cheapest was New Orleans at $219. Philadelphia, which for those of you who are history buffs will know that this was the temporary US capital in the late 18th century, was third in the barometer cost of $1,832 for 2. That's for those who are really interested in American history, I guess. Miami, which is also in the news at the minute because of the virus over there, was the fourth in the Post Office survey, a cost of £1,965 for 2. Seeker, that's the name of the virus I was trying to remember. But visitors will have to watch their wallets in the city because the cost of tourist staples, £605, was the highest of the 10 cities in the list. Almost £200 more for meals, drinks and other essentials than Austin in Texas, which is £406, which was the cheapest. The barometer is released after new figures are showing that a boost in demand for transatlantic travel this year. The latest Office for National Statistics report reveals a 15% rise year on year in the UK visitors to the US. At the same time, Post Office Travel Money, which apparently accounts for 1 in 4 UK currency transactions, I thought it might have been a little bit higher, says US dollar sales are up 20% for January to June, despite the weak pound. It suggests that the US could be the autumn's destination of choice, especially for those to see the election build-up at first hand. To give a fair representation of the likely expenditure, the Post Office compiled its US barometer to include the cost of return flights, 3-star hotel accommodation, meals and drinks, sightseeing and transport costs and entry to museums and galleries that will cover a 3-night city break for 2. And the list of the cities was Washington DC, New York, Philadelphia, Miami, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Boston, New Orleans, Austin and Chicago. The Post Office in their survey points out that the cost of flights has a marked impact on the overall price of a US city break. This was predictably cheapest to the city to the east of the US, led by New York City. They found the flights at £726 for 2, and the most expensive were trips to California or Nevada, £1,064 for San Francisco and £1,114 for Vegas. But the most expensive flights at the time of the research were to New Orleans at $1,316 for a pair of return tickets. Earlier I said about how your dog can influence your holiday, so another Post Office survey. Almost 4 in 5, which is 79% of people, are planning a holiday this year will be doing in the UK. 1 in 12 of them are chosen a domestic break so they can take their family dog with them. something that me and my wife did and ah about while we were thinking about our holiday. Research for the Post Office Travel Insurance Domestic Holidays Report reveals that over 1.4 million people will take a UK break with their dog, more than twice the number that would do so in order to watch the Olympic Games. The UK dog population now numbers 8.5 million according to the 2016 Pet Population Report, which assesses that 24% of the UK households that own dogs. Oh, one of the 24%. So the Post Office Travel Insurance Survey means 1 in 6 of these dogs will now go on holiday in the UK this year. Doggy power exerts even more of an influence in the North East, where 15% of people want to holiday with their dogs, and north of the border, where more than 1 in 10, just about 11%, of Scots chose to take a UK break so they don't have to leave their dog in a kennel. This is something I'm really worried about when I go away. The most popular holiday destinations was Cornwall, which has now pulled ahead of Scotland. It's maybe down to Poldark's recent success in television BAFTAs. And what else is there? Oh yes, around 1 in 6, 16% people say they were heading to the Cornish Peninsula for their holidays this year. 15% were planning to visit Scotland, and demand for Wales has also dropped, down from 16% last year to 13% now. The big winner is London, tied in a third place with Yorkshire with a 14% of the vote. Taking your dog to London seems a bit weird. The 2 percentage point increase in demand for London since last year's survey sits alongside a significant rise in popularity for city breaks in the survey of the types of UK holidays planned. Around a third, 31% of those questioned by Post Office Travel Insurance said they were planning a city break this year, and London was clearly the popular choice. So the Post Office have got 2 surveys in one here, city breaks and pester power from your dog. London is also boasts 5 of the 10 most visited cultural landmarks in Europe. The Tower of London and Big Ben, or Elizabeth Tower as you should call it, had a list of 20 most visited heritage attractions by respondents, which includes Buckingham Palace in 5th place, the House of Parliament in 6th, and St Paul's Cathedral in 10th. In fact, 18 of the top 20 places go to iconic UK landmarks, and a poll reveals that up to 40% of people have chosen to include visits to these while they're on their holidays. In a sharp contrast, only 2 of those featured in the top 20 are European cultural landmarks, the Eiffel Tower in 3rd place, tied with Blackpool Tower, and the Arc de Triomphe in 8th place. So the 20 most popular are Tower of London, Big Ben, Blackpool Tower, Eiffel Tower, Buck House, House of the Parliament, Edinburgh Castle, Arc de Triomphe, Stonehenge, St Paul's Cathedral, Brighton Pier, is that still going? Cheddar Gorge, Windsor Castle, the White Cliffs of Dover, Warwick Castle, the Bath Roman Baths, Hampton Court Palace, the Eden Project, the Needles and Brighton Royal Pavilion. The Post Office have found that despite the high volume of people planning UK holidays, a surprising number fail to take out travel insurance. There's an unlikely thing for a travel insurance survey to find. It's found that 3 in 5 people travelled without insurance in their last UK holidays. 2/3 of the group did not think travel insurance was important, while 31% admitted not having thought about it at all. Yet, based on the number of survey respondents who experienced losses because they did not have travel insurance, the Post Office estimates that over 318,000 people could put themselves at risk of financial loss when they holiday in the UK this year. When asked how much it would cost them, 16% of those respondents without travel insurance admitted losing an average of £2,326 as a result of theft of the suitcase and its contents. 12% of the uninsured holiday makers lost out to the tune of £1,189 because they had to cut the holiday short due to injury, while cancelling UK trips on health grounds cost 1 in 10, an average of £916. Among the third of people who did not take out single-trip travel insurance policy for the UK holiday, relatively few, 38%, compared costs and chose the most comprehensive policy available at the cheapest price. Instead, 1 in 5 looked for the cheapest policy but did not check the small print for what's covered. Hello, listener. I always say, check the small print, check the small print, check the small print. Don't just go for the cheapest. Go for the cheapest with the best small print. A quarter of the insured holiday makers either took out cover with a company they'd used before